Hey there, my friend. I know it might sound crazy to think about cheering against the Dallas Cowboys, but hear me out. Tonight's game against the Houston Texans isn't just another match. It's an opportunity to look at the bigger picture. Before you start shaking your head, let's dive into why this could be a game to actually lose. Look, we're heading into this Monday Night Football matchup with a 3-6 record, while the Texans are sitting pretty at 6-4. Add to that a mountain of injuries and the absence of key players like Dak Prescott, and you've got a recipe for, well, let's just call it not our best showing. But think about it. Losing tonight might actually help us move closer to something valuable. Top 5 pick in the NFL draft. You see where I'm going with this, right? Sometimes stepping back today sets you up for a leap tomorrow. Wouldn't it be amazing to see this team get its hands on a transformative player next season? And let's be honest, without our starters winning, tonight would be an uphill battle anyway. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself hoping for a loss? If it meant a better future for the team? Share your thoughts in the comments side. Love to know how you feel about this. Oh, and before we move on, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us grow and reach our goal of 12,000 subscribers. It's fans like you who keep this community alive. All right, let's talk about tonight's game. Even if the odds aren't exactly in our favor, there are still a few key storylines that make this matchup worth watching, especially for a die-hard fan like you. First up, our brand new wide receiver, Jonathan Mingo. Remember that trade deadline move? We gave up a 4th-round pick for him. At the time, it felt like a head-scratcher, right? But tonight, we finally get to see if Jerry Jones saw something we didn't. Mingo will be stepping onto the field, catching passes from Cooper Rusher maybe. Even Trey Lance, if things go sideways. Now, let's be real. This season is already shaping up to be a wash. So, tonight's game is all about looking ahead. Could Mingo secure a spot on next year's roster? Does he have what it takes to shake up the depth chart? I mean, players like Jalen Brooks and Jalen Tolbert should be taking notes, because a strong performance from Mingo could change everything. But hey, here's where you come in. What are your expectations for Jonathan Mingo? Do you think he's the future, or are you still skeptical about that trade? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And while we're at it, let's run a quick poll. If you had the power to make one move to shake up the Cowboys roster, what would it be? A. Draft a new quarterback. B. Focus on the O-line. Or C. Add more weapons like Mingo. Vote in the comments. I'll be reading through them after the game. By the way, if you're liking this breakdown so far, take a second to subscribe and share this video with other Cowboys fans. Let's hit that 12,000 subscriber mark. Together it's your support that fuels this channel. Okay. Now let's take a closer look at what's been holding us back this season. It's been a rough ride, hasn't it? Losing key players left and right has made it nearly impossible for the Cowboys to find any consistency. And tonight, the injury list is looking just as brutal as ever. We're missing Trevon Diggs, who went down early last season, and now Dak Prescott is out. CeeDee Lamb, questionable with a back injury. Zach Martin, limited all week with a shoulder issue. And let's not forget about Jordan Lewis and Deron Bland, both ruled out. At this point, it feels like we're fielding half a team. But here's the thing. This struggle could pave the way for something greater. Injuries, as frustrating as they are, often force teams to think about the future. It's not just about making it through this season. It's about building a roster that's healthier, deeper, and stronger for 2025. So, let me ask you, which injured player do you think has been the biggest loss for the Cowboys this year? Trevon, Dak? Someone else? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see who you think has been the hardest to replace. And while we're at it, here's a little challenge for you. Think about the upcoming draft. Would you rather the Cowboys focus on rebuilding the offensive line, adding defensive depth, or securing another game-changing weapon like CeeDee Lamb? Your answers might just shape the conversation for the next episode. Now, If you're still with me, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. We're in this together, and every bit of your support helps us keep this community thriving. All right, now here's the part that might sound a little wild. Why losing tonight's game to the Texans could actually be a win for the Cowboys. Hear me out. Okay, as frustrating as it is to root against your own team, sometimes taking a step back can help you leap forward. Right now, the Cowboys are sitting at the number 9 spot in the NFL draft order. But if we lose a few more games and, let's be honest, our schedule is brutal, we could easily slide into the top 5. Imagine what that could mean for us. Think about the possibilities. Securing a top-tier draft pick could bring in someone like Travis Hunter or another elite playmaker, a guy who can impact both sides of the ball. That's a game changer. And let's face it, with all the holes on our roster, we need that kind of versatility. Now, I know what you're thinking. Shouldn't we always play to win? Of course, but there's a bigger picture here. Losing now means we could build a stronger, more competitive team for the future. It's like taking one step back to take 2 giant leaps forward. Here's a quick question for you. If the Cowboys end up with a top 5 pick, who would you want them to draft? A defensive powerhouse. B, an offensive weapon. Or C, a quarterback to groom for the future. Let me know your pick in the comments. And let's not forget tonight's game is the perfect stress-free viewing experience. There's no pressure, no heartbreak, just a chance to watch our team play, and maybe even improve our draft stock. So sit back, enjoy the game, and keep your eyes on the bigger prize. If this strategy makes sense to you, hit the like button to show you're all in for building the future. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, so we can keep growing our Cowboys community. Up next, let's talk about how all of this ties back to coaching and the tough decisions the front office might need to make. Stay tuned. Let's get into the elephant in the room, the coaching situation. Mike McCarthy. Love him or hate him, it's impossible to ignore the whispers about his future with the Cowboys. And honestly, it's not just whispers anymore. It's starting to sound like a full-blown chant. Here's the deal. McCarthy came in with a solid resume a Super Bowl ring and promises of turning things around. But let's be real, has he lived up to the expectations? Sure, there have been flashes of brilliance, but consistency, that's been a different story. And in a league as competitive as the NFL, consistency is everything. The question we need to ask ourselves is simple. Is Mike McCarthy the right coach to lead this team forward, especially with the potential for a top 5 draft pick? Do we trust him to develop young talent and create a winning culture? Or is it time for a fresh start? Here's a fun thought. What if Jerry Jones decides to go big and brings in someone like Deion Sanders, prime time himself? I mean, imagine the energy, the swagger, and the leadership he could bring to Dallas. Do you think that would finally push this team over the edge? Let me know in the comments. Would you keep McCarthy, or are you ready for a change? And if so, who would you want to replace him? But here's the thing. Whether it's McCarthy or someone new, one thing is clear. The Cowboys need direction. We've got the talent, and we might soon have the draft capital to reshape this roster. What we need now is a coach who can bring it all together. So, as we wrap this up, I want you to think about the big picture. Do you believe this team can turn things around under McCarthy? Or is it time for a bold move? Drop your thoughts below. And hey, if you've made it this far, thanks for sticking with me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Your support is what keeps this channel going, and I'm counting on you to help us hit that 12,000 subscriber goal. Now, go enjoy tonight's game stress-free. Remember, and let's see what the future holds for our Cowboys.